Hello and welcome everybody, this is Kris Sprudeln Grey, and I've got a random ranked match that I've picked up here for us today, so why don't you go ahead and grab your starting items and strap in. We're on the Summoner's Rift. So right away you can see we're about 5 minutes into this game, and already we have 5 kills. Very unusual to see this much aggression so early in a game. Blue team, though, this may explain why we've seen so much aggression. They're actually running an Ezreal Ashe bottom lane. Two of the longest range, most poke-based champions this early in the game, and they're going up against the standard AD carry support lane of Graves and Sona for the red team. Rounding out the lineups, we see Zed in the mid lane, his lane opponent on the red team, Ahri, blue team's jungler, Jarvan IV, his red team counterpart, Lee Sin, and top lane, Rumble for the blue team, facing off against red team's Yorick. So right away, we're all even up, 3-3 on the kills, 6 minutes in. Gold lead is in favor of red by about 500 gold. It appears so far that gold lead comes mainly from CS differences. And here's something unusual that you don't normally see. Ashe actually only has 2 CS, and they're feeding most of that bot lane farm into Ezreal. Double flash use, but they do pick up the kill on Sona. Ezreal will escape with his life. Ashe remaining behind to add some extra poke onto Graves. So believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, we actually have ourselves a support Ashe. Mid lane, Vile Rose on Zed does go down to Ahri. Jarvan coming in to hold the lane. Now it looks like that was a gank gone wrong in some respects from Lee Sin. Actually fed his own life away there to Zed. Ahri manages to clean up the kill. Zed hasn't reached his power spike yet with his armor shred and his Blade of the Ruin King, which you can see here by the Bilgewater Cutlass he's going for. 2-1 with 42 CS. He's well on his way to having it as well. Look at the items between the AD carries. Ezreal is just slightly ahead. Almost dead even on the farm, but he does have that one extra kill compared to Graves' single assist and single kill. So Ezreal has managed to pick up that longsword with the double Dorans. If we take a look at top lane, this should just be an absolute brawl between these two champions. Yorick is able to dish out tremendous amounts of punishment, summoning his ghouls onto an opponent. Rumble, however, can do just as much back usually. As you can see, he's actually blowing the equalizer there, knowing that Jarvan's coming up. But Lee Sin is there to counter, and nobody dies. Both top laners make it out successfully. Rumble not recalling actually inside the bush, which is a little bit cocky and at the same time a mistake, because Lee Sin could have just as easily turned that corner and seen him. Rumble going for the characteristic Doran's shield start, it looks like, picking up the amplifying tome and boots on his way back. This start has really become common amongst top laners because it gives you so much extra durability. We saw this a lot in the middle and later portions of the North American LCS. Top laners often starting Doran's shield with a pot to make sure that they could just sustain as long as possible, as long as AD carry bot lanes were able to, almost in some cases, before having to go back and buy more items to continue the fight. CS, all across the board, fairly even. The biggest disparity really being here in the bot lane, where Rumble has picked up 58 to Yorick's 47. Yorick, you can see, doing the golems. Top laners often take care of this. The lane, you can see why Yorick feels it's okay to stop on his way back is the lane is what they call frozen right here in the top lane. It's at almost the direct midpoint between the red and the blue team's towers. So it's not in any danger to his tower, and it's also not pushed far enough forward that he can engage on the enemy or be... He doesn't have to fear for a counter gank. So he's got time, basically, is what it boils down to. Yorick had time to do those golems, and he can't engage out here on Rumble. Rumble is just bossing Yorick around. So what Yorick is really wanting is he wants this creep wave pushed up to his tower so that he can try and last it with the assistance and protection of this tower. If we head back into the mid lane, Zed, being extremely push-oriented this game, gonna pick up these wraiths while his tower is up being assaulted by the minions. Lee Sin covering that for Ahri. Pulls off a successful reset of that lane. So now, as you can see, it's a similar situation as to what was going on in the top lane. The minion wave has returned to this midpoint area where it's safe for Ahri to get assistance on ganks. Missed the charm, which that's what they were looking for. If an Ahri lands a charm, it's almost always a symbol that she is going to go in on you, or that her jungler or other assistants can come in and actually go in, go hard, go all in, and get that kill. Looks like we'll be having a bit of what they call the blue build from Ezreal, possibly going into Triforce. That's becoming extremely popular since the recent buffs to Phage, as well as the Sheen for that matter. Yorick and Lee Sin combining again to get the kill on Rumble. This Lee Sin has been incredibly active, does get finished off just barely by the Zed. Just trading one for one there. Bot lane going extremely deep. Graves gets the shutdown, flashes out. Ashe may be able to catch this. She does not have her enchanted crystal arrow, but she may pursue in order to try and get it. Oh, just misses. Just misses with that frost shot. So this bot lane, Ashe is... This is actually something that's a little bit unusual about this bottom lane, the way it's set up here. Normally, when the AD carry dies or has to go back, the support's just picking up last hits to try and freeze the lane. And frankly, extra money on a support doesn't make all that big a difference throughout the course of a game. But in this case, Ashe, a regular carry, is actually picking up the farm. So she actually becomes more dangerous, significantly more so, the more farm she gets. Now, she's only picked up 16 CS, to be fair, but she does have that Philosopher's Stone, so she will be passively picking up gold. And any gold right now, as you can see, is going to make her a much more deadly opponent. But she bails here on Ezreal. Ezreal going in extremely hard, just as Lee Sin and Graves get back. This probably will be the death of at least one of these characters. Ezreal makes sure to trade his life back, 1-for-1 at least, but he did only trade for a support, which you never want to trade your marksman carry for the enemy team support, because the support getting shut down really doesn't matter in most cases. Zed catching Ahri out in the top lane here, on her way up to assist Rumble, no doubt. My apologies, to assist Yorick. This brawl just continues to go on. Yorick stacking up a Manamune, looking for that Muramana transfer. This will be a fairly slow stack for him, especially under this much pressure from Rumble. And I have no idea what happened down here. Jarvan goes in, Graves comes out almost at full life. Takes him out under turret too. Jarvan must have been incredibly low there. Now the red team is beginning to roll here. They're up about 2,000 gold, and this is where it starts to become... This should be a major concern for them. They're about to lose this bottom tower. Rumble is still doing pretty good despite pretty much constantly being camped up here, and a really rough brawl with Yorick. But this 2,000 gold and a 401 Graves, who's 20 CS up on his direct counterpart, is just going to become a monster. As you can see, he's nearly 1,000 gold up on his counterpart Ezreal, which is going to result in a faster Bloodthirster, and it does appear Ezreal is going for that Triforce build. So it's sort of a hybrid blue standard carry build that he's going for. And what I say blue build is that name came from the fact that most of the items that were used were literally, their icons were colored blue, but it was a very kite-centric sort of prolonged fight style that it required, and it almost never seemed to work when you were playing from behind, because it used a number of stacking items and depended on you being able to out-kite your opponent's damage without, one, being caught, and two, having your entire front line killed off. Ezreal flashing forward extremely aggressively here. Graves may have overextended himself. Almost avoids the knockup from Jarvan, but does not quite get it. Will barrier. And this is the problem. Graves is extremely durable right now and does tons of damage. Lee Sin not choosing to go in. Jarvan does pick up the shutdown. Lee Sin, oddly enough, kicks him away instead of backwards. So, bit of a misplay there from Lee Sin. I really think Red Team could have picked up the double kill there. Instead, they don't lose anybody, and Blue picks up a double kill. Good shutdown there onto the Zed. York actually using his ultimate to ensure that he comes back from the grave just long enough to get that kill and trade himself 1-for-1. So an absolute brawl we have in this one. Almost 16 minutes in. 12-10 on the kills in favor of Blue Team still. And Ahri's going in extremely hard. Should get this. Does get it. Will tank up a couple of extra turret hits for trouble though. But that's of really no concern. There is nobody left here to stop her. And she will teleport back to base. 1-0 the tower score in favor of the red team. And this is really what wins games. A lot of people think we need to get kills, and kills will win us the game. We'll just demoralize the enemy or something to that effect. But really, if you want to ensure victory, solid team play based around objective control is easily right now in this current meta setting the most effective way to ensure victory. And you can see that red is really just keeping the pressure on these lanes. They've picked up that turret bot lane. Sona gets a nice catch there with that crescendo. Graves will flash to counter Asher's flash over the wall there. Jarvan comes in, grabs Sona. Sona will flash. Zed, Living Shadows over the wall. Deathmark will go. Lee Sin comes in to protect, but the Deathmark is too much. And if there's anything that's going to counter this incredibly farmed Graves, it is an incredibly farmed Zed. Decent equalizer, does force out the flash. Jarvan will survive. Ezreal also survives. So it's a 1-for-2 in favor of Blue, and Blue will now get the objective. So really what went wrong there for Red Team was they didn't have the vision ahead of making the play. And what that means is that they were trying to get vision, which is where Graves and Sona actually got caught, is coming up here and trying to drop a couple of deep wards, which they successfully got the wards. But then they were out of position based on the rest of their team, and they got picked off by the full 5 of Blue. So they got step 1 of objective control. They tried to get their vision, but then they messed up part 2, which is you have to be with your team or within easy reinforcement range. Because if you're just going out and trying to do your own lone wolf thing, or maybe out with just a partner, and you get caught by the full enemy team, that's the easiest team fight in the world to win, no matter how farmed your Graves is. So if Red wants to continue this objective control game that they've started playing, they really need to start keeping players together. They need to be roaming in 3s, 4s, and 5s. And that's where Blue's really making a good play here, is they've been roaming together as at least 3 players, with Ezreal still fairly close by, Rumble making sure Yorick doesn't get anywhere easily. Yorick is now getting pretty strong. His Muramana's about halfway ready. Rumble still just too tanky and still puts out just enough damage to protect himself. Lee Sin could get caught here in the middle. And this is what I'm talking about. You can't afford to keep getting caught like this. Graves and Sona are once again off as 2. And the column actually sees them in the brush, oddly enough, and will chase them, informing Ashe and Ezreal that there were people in that bush. We take a look here at the gold totals. Ezreal has done a marvelous job of catching himself back up in this game. He is almost even with a Graves that a few minutes ago, about 5 minutes ago, was actually 1,000 gold ahead. Ezreal's soon to actually be ahead because Graves is spending so much time roaming and trying to make plays. Decent equalizer. Ooh, good crystal arrow there. Catches the Ahri. The Ahri will get Yorick ultimate, though, and come back from the grave. Ashe gets picked off, so now it's 0 for 2 on the blue team. Jarvan will just barely survive. Red going extremely deep here. Zed comes in, will trade his own life. But now Ezreal's just trying to clean up here. And he will get it. He's going to get the triple. There's the triple kill from Ezreal. And so now it is 5 for 4. An absolute brutalization of these two teams. Ezreal completes the buff transfer. Now has red and blue on himself. And is the only surviving member from either team of that team fight. So red team gets themselves a tier 1 turret, but then trades back all 5 members of their team, including a number of extremely important ultimates, including the Crescendo and the Yorick Omen of Death. As you can see, not even all of the ultimates were even used. Ezreal never even used his ultimate. Ahri completing the catch of Ashe, though. Red team's still up in this, though. These 3 turrets are accounting mainly for the difference in gold that we see here. Blue team has the single dragon that has been taken this game. We take a look across at the gold totals. Ezreal ahead of Graves. Ashe behind Sona by a pretty fair amount. Rumble almost gets caught. Will survive using his equalizer, though. Chooses to stick around, and this could be his death. Yes, it will be. Way too far out there by Rumble. Not enough vision on his part. Good downtown enchanted crystal arrow. And here comes blue team, roaming successfully once again. Picks up the Sona, picks up the Lee Sin, and picks up the Graves. Another double kill for Ezreal. And he is now 10, 2, and 4. And approaching 600 gold difference over his counterpart Graves. So, despite being caught out earlier, Ashe makes the good play with her crystal arrow that initiates that fight there. And that is really the mark of Ashe. That is what she needs to be doing. She needs to be initiating for her team, and basically whoever gets caught by that arrow just needs to get jumped on by all 5 members. And that's what Blue's doing. They're following it up. Ezreal is getting tons of protection from both Ashe, Rumble, and Jarvan, and anything he can't kill, Zed is taking care of or weakening extremely well for Ezreal to come in and clean up the double. Zed himself is 846, does have the completed Blade of the Ruin King, Boots of Mobility, which is a little bit of an unusual choice. It is allowing him to roam extremely effectively here, but you usually see other choices such as the Berserker's Greaves, the Merc Treads, or the Ninja Tabi. But this choice here, I do like this. I think it's a good choice for Boots. And he does have his Brutalizer with a pickaxe. So he's moving right along with his damage and his armor shred. Do we have an Aegis? We do. We do have a completed Locket of the Iron Solari for the blue team. It appears that Sona is working towards an Aegis still. But without that being completed, blue has the better aura advantage right now. And you can see how well that's paying off in these recent couple of fights. Looks like we're going for the all-5 mid strategy here. How are we looking on ultimates? All up for blue, all up for red. So this next fight here could easily result in an inhibitor being taken by a team. The poke going down. Ezreal... Whoa! Delayed charm catch there. Red can't follow it up with enough damage, but this will likely scare blue back, as their primary tank and their #1 damage dealer are both at about half HP. Red team pinging the dragon. It is now up. And blue team's going to go in here, it looks like. They want to at least posture like they're going to defend this. York extremely far out. Red will at least get the dragon. Good equalizer. But Zed gets melted. Decent crescendo locks up Jarvan and Rumble. And red team is just rolling through here. Flash forced on both Ashe and Ezreal. York just has too much sustain. So the red team comes out of that with a 1 for 3 and the dragon, once again extending their gold lead. And despite their rather poor team fighting, Red has actually done a better job of controlling these objectives. They're now 1 of 2 for dragons, and they have 3 turrets, which gives them a 2-turret lead over the blue team. This mid turret is really where blue needs to be focusing next, in my opinion. If they want to get their objective control completely under control, they need to take this middle turret out, which is exactly what Ezreal looks like he's going to do here. And what happens when... Oh, he may actually get pushed out. This tower may survive until one more wave at least. And it looks like it will. Graves getting caught. Ezreal ult misses. And Graves will fall, giving a kill to this support Ashe. So anyways, why this middle turret is so important for objective control is that it allows easier motion through an opponent's jungle. There isn't a safe place to immediately catch players moving into your jungle from, and the fallback position now moves closer to your base, leaving this middle pathway that forms a sort of crescent through the 2 jungles open for use. Lee Sin will pick up Zed, and now blue is getting caught out a little bit. Good crescendo to protect herself, but Rumble's going to go deep on this, and is going to trade back his life for no gain, effectively. And Ashe also gets picked up by Ahri, the heavy magic damage-based assassin. Now the pings are actually going down for red team on Baron. They might be able to do this until they feed back a couple of kills here. Ezreal picks off Ahri. Ooh, fail flash over the wall. Probably one of the hardest flashes to make. I believe you actually have to be right up in here, and you have to flash like this line right here. Otherwise, this part of the wall is just too fat. You cannot go over it. So, red team, having absolute reign of this jungle right now, is going to push up and try and take this tier 2 middle turret. Likely to happen. Yorick doesn't finish off the turret. Zed will scare them off. Almost kills Graves. Almost dies himself. Looks like he will survive for now. Yorick also escaping. Lee Sin dropping the slow. Whoa. That arrow hit. Comes in from downtown again by Ashe. She's done actually a wonderful job landing these long-range ultimates. And this Ezreal is just monstering this. Oh, trades it, but it goes to Rumble. So that was impressive. Even with the support of Lee Sin there, Graves still goes 1 for 1 with Ezreal, and Rumble almost dies himself to Graves. So that we're at 28.5 minutes in, and it's 27 to 26 on the kills, all squared up 3 to 3 on the turrets, but that's soon to change here. Tier 2 on top will go down. Yorick cannot defend this 4v1. Sona gets the slow off on Jarvan. He is one tanky man though, and here comes Ahri. Actually drops right in. Crystal Arrow's back up, and she'll Zonia's to save herself from the death mark. Just so much AoE, my goodness. So there's a double kill. Poor Ahri. Almost dies to the golems, oddly enough. And now red is pinging Baron, which they could probably do. There is no countering smite. They know the true shot barrage is down from Ezreal, because it just flew past them. They don't have great vision control, because they don't have pinks and they don't have an oracle, so they don't technically know that there's no vision. And they do pick off Sona, but they will pick up the Baron. A reasonable trade. Red does at least have green wards throughout this top area. They've got a nice little circle or crescent shape there, so they knew when these guys were coming in between Ezreal and Zed. And Sona did a good job. She sacrificed herself, but she interfered with Ezreal and Zed and their ability to get in and try and do anything about stealing that Baron or picking off other members such as Graves. So now Red Team increases their objective control and picks up the first Baron of the game. Dragon is up in about 10 seconds here. Blue's going to counter. They know Red had to go back and shop after that. Several of their members were low, and they also knew that by virtue of having them picked up the Baron, they'd have money in their pockets to spend. They attempted that push up the middle, which is usually a fairly good call. You want to be able to counter, and that was the closest spot that they had to counter to. But to be honest, their counter was slow. It came in too slow. They should have immediately registered that Blue evacuated the Baron pit area and pushed. Instead, Blue goes almost all the way back to their base and then tries to push, wasting a significant chunk of time.
Red Team's turret has been destroyed.
And now Zed is just up here split pushing like a beast. Actually picks up a tier 2 turret for his troubles. Ahri will defend this inhibitor turret on bot lane though. Almost no damage being dealt. And here comes Blue. This is really where they know that they need to get something done, and this is the only outer turret left. This middle tier 2. So they've actually done a good job reclaiming the turret lead Blue has, and it's 5-3. Gold still in favor of Red, though at 32 minutes in almost, this less than 2,000 gold lead matters not. The difference in items that this contributes to is frankly meaningless. Ahri cannot clean up on the Ashe. Ashe gets away. Decent crystal arrow. Zed will clean that up. Good equalizer on top of the Jarvan ult. Could have been a little bit closer towards Rumble. And now we've just got flashes going everywhere. Zed picks up a double kill, killing off Ahri and Sona. Ezreal escapes with his life, so it's a tier 2 turret and 2 deaths for the Red Team compared to 1 death for Blue. And the gold lead is brought back to 1.5k gold in favor of Red. Now Blue sees that this is happening. Zed's kind of out on an island here. He's in a very dangerous spot. They really shouldn't even bother trying to contest this. He's just going to get him... All he can do here is get himself caught. There's too much support. Good. Another excellent Ashe arrow. Ashe has just been absolutely on target, and that's one of the most important things, as I mentioned earlier, about Ashe, is that ability to land those arrows and come in with the unsuspecting team's initiation. If we take a look at the items here, Ezreal did go for that Triforce build, extremely popular recently. Supports both have their Ruby Sightstones and their Shirelia's Reverie. Interesting that both supports finished that first. Both teams emphasizing high mobility with their Boots of Mobility pickups and the Shirelias. Locket of the Iron Solari has been finished for Red Team now finally, which could honestly be one of the reasons why these last couple of team fights have gone heavily in Red's favor. Blue is still managing to get the good pickoffs though, which has kept them in this game much longer maybe than even they thought that they could do. Zed, an incredibly potent duelist, especially now. You can see he's actually gone double armor shred. I've seen a lot of this recently. The Last Whisper with the Black Cleaver. So you start out with armor shred as a result of the Last Whisper, and then you actually stack up more armor shred that applies across your entire team via the Black Cleaver. Now Zed also has his Guardian Angel finish, which means he can afford to dive in. He may die, but then he'll just come right back and continue kicking butt. Extremely dangerous and should be a major concern for Red, because now it presents the problem of, well, who do we kill first? Do we kill the Zed and have him come back? Do we kill the Ezreal despite him being extremely slippery between Flash and Arcane Shift? Do we perhaps go for the Ashe? Even though she's only support, she's putting out a lot of slowing right now, and she is extremely squishy. Decent arrow, but it does field goal this time. One of the few misses actually seen this game. Zed's Living Shadow, you can see how much damage he's doing. That extra armor shred has just been key. And there goes the Ezreal. Gets caught by the charm, and that's what Blue was looking for. Red, however, just surviving for days in this fight. You can see, just picks up the ace for 1, and will get this middle inhibitor turret, despite there being no creep wave. And should easily finish off this inhibitor, if not the game. You can see, still 30 seconds on all the dangerous targets. So that was an excellent team fight. You can see the Locket of the Iron Solari being used for red. Unfortunately, blue team did not use theirs. So that was an extra amount of health that got applied to everybody. Ari still had her Zhonya's left, for God's sake. So that was incredibly well fought by red team there, especially at the end, emphasizing high mobility, high amounts of objective control, and definitely better teamfight coordination amongst their members, using their Randuin's Omen, their Locket of the Iron Solari, and their Shrelia's Reverie to just completely overpower, I would say, a stronger blue team, more like an on-paper deadlier set of champions than what red faced, or red put onto the field today. So, well job, GG, the call comes out, and it will be victory for the red team. So I've been Kris Sprudeln Grey, commentating League of Legends for you here on the Summoner's Rift. Thanks for listening.